Hello and welcome. I'm Danny Cowley with Hanford Mission Integration Solutions, and we thank you for joining the Department of Energy for tonight's hybrid public meeting. Now, for those of you here in the room, we're at the Richland Public Library, and we'd like you to note the exits. There's one there, right out the door to the left, in case there's an emergency. And for those online, Colleen has dropped the materials in the chat, and it will show you how to submit your comments. And of course, this meeting is being recorded. It's going to be posted to the Hanford.gov minutes calendar as soon as we can. And Patrick always does a great job of getting that done right away. Tonight's meeting is part of our Resource Conservation and Recovery Act Class 2 60-day public comment period. It's going to run through March 14th. And tonight we're here to discuss a proposed permit modification that would allow Hanford's low activity waste facility export bay to be added for use as extra container storage. And we begin tonight with a presentation from DOE's Dwayne Carter. Thank you.
Evening, everybody. So this permit modification is for the Hanford Dangerous Waste Permit Low Activity Waste Facility Export Bay. And what we're proposing to do is basically add storage, permitted storage to that unit. This is already where the glass logs are in the pallets. They're already on the trailer. It's kind of to maintain compliance if we have to store in that facility. So the direct feed low activity waste system, our program, is a whole integration of a bunch of different facilities and contractors. During DFLAW, pre-treated low activity waste will be fed directly from the Hanford Dane farms into the low activity waste facility. And I'll call that law from now on. The WTP effluent management facility, EMF, will manage and treat the liquid effluent from the law facility. The effluent treatment facility and liquid effluent retention facility, ETF and LERF, provide storage and treatment of various mixed liquid wastes from the law facility and other facilities on Hanford. The integrated disposal facility accept containers of vitrified law for disposal and secondary waste. Next slide. So to go through this, we're looking at, here's our, you see it's this tank side CCM removal system. It's in the permit, it's called the low activity waste pre-treatment system, but most people know it as TSCR, and that's where they're removing CCM, and that is creating feed to do the DFLAW. That waste is being stored at the tank farm till it's ready to go. As mentioned, here's the effluent management system, liquid effluent from law facility, and then low activity waste law facility, and that's what we're dealing with today. And the IDF is over here. That's already a permitted unit. We have readiness activities to go. There's been a lot of construction out there. There's 2 new facilities for inspecting the pallets and the tractors. There's a Radcon trailer because we have to survey out the trailers and the pallets. And then they put in new modules and modified the tank systems right here, put on new domes, so it resembles environmental restoration disposal facility tanks. All right, next slide. So you see WTP, press the right button, is right here. So that little bump coming out of 200 East, that's where WTP is. All right, next slide. So here's a better idea of what we're looking at. So the low activity waste facility is right here. There's the export bay. That's where the pallets will get loaded. And we have a storage pad outside of it. There's also a storage pad at IDF that we can use for additional storage. So all those are permitted, except for the export bay. So as I mentioned, the export bay, pallets already go in there for transport to either just storage pad or integrated disposal facility. Next slide. So as Dana mentioned, this is a Resource Conservation and Recovery Act action that governs the permit, or is governed by the permit, that Washington State Department of Ecology oversees us and is our regulator. The committees, DOA and Bechtel, are proposing this class 2 for basically group operating in a group 10, specific permit conditions, Part A, Chapter 4E, and the law of that facility, and Chapter 6A, inspection schedule. Okay, next slide. Now, here's a good one. I like this slide. You get a good idea of what the export bay looks like. And we refer to these black containers as pallets, and the glass logs go in the pallets. And then this clamshell goes over the top. So that's what it looks like when it's open, and that's what they look like when they're closed. So they'll be loaded into shielded transport containers secured to a transport vehicle. That transport vehicle is this specific trailer that can sit 3 pallets on it. When it gets over to the integrated disposal facility, they have a single trailer that only has 1 pallet. And that's the one that will go into the cells of IDF. That 3 pallet one will never go into the cells. And these are very heavy containers. When we did the freight containers, the pseudo logs, we had to ship them to Arlington, and we could only put in 2 pallets because these are so heavy. The pallets themselves are heavy, and then you add the glass logs. It was oversized, and we'd have to get a special permit to ship those to Arlington. And that's just the non-haz logs that went to are going to Arlington. They do have, you see the grapple here, we have led one of those to Arlington so they can get them out of the pallets. So I mentioned the transportation station area and the IDF storage pad. So this modification will add ILO container storage capability to the law facility export bay to supplement the transportation staging area when needed. And that is the capacity will be increased by basically those 3 pallets. And that's to maintain compliance if we ever did have to store in there. So, okay. Next slide. So here's the 4 parts of the dangerous waste permit that we're changing. Dangerous waste permit application part A form. Updates to reflect the addition of ILOC container storage in the law facility, and that'll be in the nature of business right up front with the part A application. General necessary updates and contact information, addresses, codes, permits, and site aerial images, and that's all your general part A application. Chapter 4E, law facility, adds information to describe the law facility, export bay structure, routine operations, and ILOC container management. It's not that big of a change. The law export bay is basically an oversized garage. Next slide. Chapter 6A inspection plan. So we're going to have to add in inspections for permitted storage. That'll be inspecting the containers, inspection the facility, all your typical stuff that goes into your inspection schedule. And then permit conditions, table 10, DA container storage containment building areas description. So that's just describing the law facility export bay again, and minor editorial reference updates to chapter 4E law of it facility. Okay, next slide. So here's different ways you can look up the WTP. Hanford.gov has some good information on narratives on the facility. The bottom one here, the tours at Hanford.gov, that has a lot of good, interactive stuff. And then of course you have your social media so that you can go and find it if you're on Facebook, Instagram, or you can go to YouTube at any time. Next slide. Here's your contact information at Ecology and Dana McFadden. You can do it by mail or you can do it by website. Prefer to do it electronically. And it gets there faster. Next slide. All right, that's all I really have. And like I said, it's fairly simple modification where we're just increasing our permitted storage. So the main one is that we maintain compliance. if we have to store them there and like I said, it's only gonna be those 3 pallets, and the pallets are odd. I know when I call them pallets, some people don't realize what those pallets are. They're that whole big black container, so it goes down, it's on a pallet, and the black container goes up, and the clamshell shuts with. And same thing reverse to get them out down in the IDF cells. Any questions?
Those pictures were quite amazing. I think that's something that, we rarely get a glimpse of in this world, to see something that big and fascinating.
Right.
And so, Patrick says there is a question that Colleen has.
Yes, there's one question online so far. Mia Burke, can you unmute yourself and ask the question?
Hi. Yeah, I just have a few clarifying questions. Can you talk about where the transportation staging area is in relation to the export bay? That's my first question.
Ask my Bechtel friends, Sheila or Kevin.
Yeah. You want to pull up that map of the facility there?
You want the arrow photo?
Yep, that right there. So the transportation staging area is just down over the log. You actually can't see it on this photo, but it's right down in this area down here.
Do you like
Can-
going to the mic?
Can we get you on a microphone?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Sorry about that. The transportation staging area is just down to the bottom right-hand corner, just off the screen of that photo there. Yeah. Yeah.
And the
Thanks.
export bay is right connected to the law facility, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And how many pallets can you stage at the transportation staging area?
The transportation staging area can hold up to 3 trailers, so up to 9 pallets.
Okay. And you're talking about, for this permit mod, adding capacity for 3 additional pallets at the export bay. Is that correct?
Yeah, the export bay is already designed for the trailer and the 3 pallets to be staged within the building for loading. All we're doing is adding the storage capability for those same 3 containers.
Okay. And how long do you expect these pallets to be stored in both of those areas? So the export bay and the transportation staging area.
For the export bay, there's an intrinsic interest in keeping the pallets moving through so that we can continue to load filled containers. So we don't expect any protracted storage time. Really, this is contingency for if we get into an event where we can't move the trailer, inclement weather, a mechanical issue with the trailer itself. If we've loaded 2 of the pallets and there's a slight pause between getting the 3rd one loaded, really just to fill in that compliance surety in the event that it's there for a period of time, but we don't expect any long-term storage. For the transportation staging area, same story. We want to get the waste down to IDF. So it's really just to allow time for the proper paperwork and then the transportation to be arranged for shipment down to IDF itself.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And then, is there anyone on the phone? Press *6 to unmute. We have anyone on the phone, but let's check. Anyone in the room with a question? And it looks like we have, I'm counting ballpark, about 20 people in the room and about 15, 16 people online. Any other questions for folks on the Teams meeting in the chat? See, Dwayne, you did such a great job.
Yeah.
Explained it all, there are no questions.
There is an additional question from Mia. Did you want to go ahead and unmute?
Yeah,
ahead.
sorry, thank you. I'm just curious from ecology. I mean, this seems like a pretty concerning permit modification. I'm just curious if ecology how ecology feels about these changes. If they can weigh in.
Dan McDonald from Ecology will address that.
Hi, Mia. We're in support of this. As you might recognize already, there's no physical configuration changes. This, if anything, provides defense and depth for the process control strategy, extra margin, and we see that as a good thing.
Thank you.
All right, and one last call. Anyone in the room with a question? And anyone on the phone, press *6 to unmute. And any more questions in the chat, Colby?
Don't see any, thank you.
We thank you for that informative presentation and thank you to all of the ecology and contractor staff that came here. We thank you for coming and participating, for joining us on Teams. Now, if you would like, you can look at the content that Colleen has put in the chat. It will help you learn how to address your comment and help us improve our meetings. If you want to fill out a meeting evaluation, we'd appreciate it. So on behalf of DOE, ecology, and all the contractors, we wish you a very good night. Thank you.